Fairly welcome.
Yes, a true Fairleolian welcome to it. It is I, Gomez. I'm joined by my co-host, Janky.
Hello.
That's the one. And yes, we are talking about all of these new cards that are coming with the Bandlewood set. I mean, let's face it, it's been crazy, right? Every single day, new champion and new cards. Yes.
I like that they've reversed their usual release schedule where instead of doing like a card dump at the end, they do a card dump at the beginning and then champions every day.
Yeah, that was a lot. That built up the hype more than just throwing all the champions. Oh, hype, and then it's just here's some support cards. Here's because the champions are what people care about the most, right?
Yeah, at the beginning when everyone was like, I don't think this set has any champions. I don't think this set has any champions. My flatmate came through and was like, there's like 7 days left till release, and there's 7 champions coming out, and I was like, oh, oh it's brilliant.
Yeah.
No, good. No, please, after you.
I was just gonna say they have done such an amazing job in terms of, in my opinion, design wise. Some of these cards, even more like you know how I roll. I always go with the more flavorful ones, which are probably gonna be in like least percentage of decks. But some of these decks, one of the craziest ones to me, I know it's not going to be used in many decks, but I still love the idea of it, is the 10 mana card, the trash.
Yeah.
Just because of the idea of using that kind of a card with stress testing to be able to get all those cards for 0 like the next round. So you're only getting to play 2 of them on the round if you're playing stress testing, because obviously it gives you a handful of cards, which is better than Treasure Trove, because Treasure Trove only gave you 5 cards. This is just like you're trying to play everything to give yourself the maximum amount of 0 cost cards that are all randomized, and then stress testing, use 2 of them, and then next round getting to use the rest of them. Like stupid moves like that, I cannot wait to give a go.
Yeah, that was one of the decks I was going to try and play day one, was stress testing. I have I think 6 decks put aside that I want to try, and Treasure Trash is in 2 of them.
Oh, it's such a funny card.
Yeah.
I mean, please tell me that you've decided to go into playing Legends of Runeterra hard mode as well, and you've got a Treasure Trash the out the way deck.
I was wondering whether that worked.
I mean, out the way does give you effects, and it continuously stays. Like obviously, like when you play the nab card, the rolling die, the dice one, every single time you hit the nexus. So it does say that you can only play 3 cards, 3 more cards this round, which technically should mean you can only play 3 cards every round after that point, right?
Yeah, it would be like it would be whether or not it has the Victor clause, where Victor can't get like ephemeral, or any of those cards can't get negative effects. It's whether or not out of the way takes into account bad end of turn effects.
I mean, you're not wrong, but it'd be hilarious if it did.
It would be really funny. This set gives me serious vibes of, like, as we get further and further away from the foundation set, the sets are getting more and more like complicated card design wise.
Yes.
Like when we had that little support set for Aphelios, and we recorded this and we were like, oh, these cards are so cool, these are so like weird design. It's like they've done that but just 125 times.
Oh yeah, I mean, Bandle City did deliver on the
the wacko scale,
the wacko of what you expect that region to be.
Yeah,
they delivered.
I have one point, but like there's a couple of things that I don't like, but just like if we're talking about, shall we start with the new champions?
Go for it. Let's go.
One thing I definitely don't like is this new champion Teemo and this new champion Fizz. I feel as if they had better art to begin with. I just don't like their art. Their new art is not for me.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can take your point. The thing of it is, right, what we haven't seen yet, because I haven't seen, admittedly, I should have probably been paying more attention to other people who've already been playing the set, because obviously, look, have they actually updated any of the animations on it, on Teemo especially, for this? That was the question.
I have also neglected watching the people's content on the matter. I have been so busy.
Exactly, that's what I mean. So
uh,
I've been too busy to have a look at, but that's what I mean. Like, if they've changed the animations, I'll be curious. But other than that, as you say, like the art style, I did actually prefer the older art
yeah.
personally. But
Level one Teemo is fine. Level one Teemo is a side grade. Like
yeah,
it's like comparable, but
yeah.
I don't like any of the, especially level two Fizz and Teemo. Like
Um,
both of the level two arts just feel worse.
I mean, to me, it's the level one art of Fizz is like the sexy shush pose.
Yes, and that's why I'll allow it. You know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, they've done honestly a fantastic job with this whole set and the champions, as you say. So let's get into actually like the new champions rather than the ones that we had that
Yeah. Yeah.
have just changed. So I believe. Well, it was Poppy was the first champion that we saw, wasn't it?
Yes, because I remember being surprised that we even got Poppy. She wasn't in the animation.
No, it's very true. She was not in the animation, but she was in the artwork for some of the cards that got shown previously.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But to be
Babbling
fair, yeah,
Balladeers or something.
yeah. But to be fair, that's happened to us many times in the past, whereby we've got pictures of certain champions in art, and then they've not appeared
It
until
happened this
later on.
time. It happened this time, didn't it? Ari is in the Ionian is in the art for what was it? Tail cloaked matriarch or something.
True,
Yeah.
true. And it's very much implied that is it Gar or whoever the which
Gnar, yeah,
Gunnar
Nar. His
or
name's Nar.
Nar is which it very much implied in some of the artwork of some of
Yes.
the cards that are on there.
My flatmate is absolutely molding that we didn't get Nar. He was very excited for Nar.
I mean, I'm sure it's going to be coming soon. But yeah, so we
Yeah.
got Poppy, which Poppy I really liked on a design point. The reason why I really liked Poppy was because it's one of those cards where it's Bandle City, where it's helping out like all the lower units in that, like all the small like kind of Yordles who are in there, like to buff them up. But also, it does actually work with what like she feels Demacian as well, because she does work with what Demacian does, which is build a big army of guys on the board and slowly but surely buff them up. Like even if you played her in a mono Demacia deck whereby you were using like Bannerman and her to buff up this army and then like Garen coming in so that you could then get Rally and just keep going forward with this perpetual army of things getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I Poppy Garen is like sounds like one of the most vanilla decks you could possibly build. Like just the dude deck.
Yes.
No, Poppy is like basically just Bannerman again, right? It's just pre-nerf Bannerman, but like a little bit better. Like sure it has the or like only less or equal, but like how often was Bannerman buffing something with 5 power back in its heyday? Yeah.
Well, no, it's not just that. It's the fact that also, like, once she levels up, she starts giving people even more. So it's +2/+2 and impact. And so, if the more times you can go forward, like if she was in a deck with Garen continuously rallying and going forward, giving impact as impact stacks.
Oh yeah,
so,
yeah.
like that just means that there's those things striking in, even if they're being hit by defenders, that's still damage going into the nexus. I feel like she like what I mean on the design point is that she works really well, like as a champion for Battle City, but she feels like it was really well done.
Oh
she
yeah,
felt Demacian. That was my point on the design.
No, I didn't mean vanilla was bad. I love vanilla. I like my favorite. Garen is one of my favorite champions, and I just got him from in Prismatic from a chest. It was amazing.
Nice.
But yeah, I like Poppy's design, and yeah, Poppy Garen will be tons of fun. But she is like blatant and like power creep on. Sure, Bannerman is a follower, but you know, so's bloody Merciless Hunter, and that doesn't seem to matter. So yeah, Poppy is like real actual power creep on a card that got nerfed like a year or so ago.
Can we just also say the gloriousness of the community after every single card that was revealed? Another gift for Renekton!
It was getting a bit tired. Like I like the people, like, for the first half of, like, spoilers, it was like really funny, and then for the second half, when people started getting really creative with it, I liked that very much. Like
Yeah.
the one of the two, like, I think are they wrestlers arguing, where it's like, we gave you 125 cards, you gave us 125 gifts for Renekton. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, there was a few of them that were like really good, but like the second half, it was starting to get on my nerves.
It's when they get creative, as you say, that's when it gets interesting. Being like, it was one of those things that you after every single one, there
Yeah.
was a lot of people were saying that, but yeah, just wanted to say
Oh
that
yeah,
about the
yeah, yeah. No,
PMG.
well, if the I suppose we'll get into the patch notes, but the community has also been quite vocal about something else.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get there. Don't you worry. So
Yeah.
the next champion we were given was Caitlyn, right?
Yes. Yes.
And probably definitely going to be shooting directly into meta with Caitlyn Teemo from what we've seen as the potential throwing all these things in. The main card that's lifting that off is the 6 mana. The
Yeah.
6 mana, which get Karina Master, which is Mastermind, who is literally just activate. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If you're playing that card, who's playing that for the first effect?
I I imagine a hypothetical where if instead of mushrooms being shuffle in when you draw me, deal 1 damage, what if it was instead 15 decimates to the Nexus? Like Karina and like can you imagine late game Teemo decks making your opponents draw 5 cards at once? You are dealing like 18 damage to the Nexus.
Yes.
Yeah, that's insane. The one thing that you have to be really careful with Karina is she doesn't shuffle the deck afterwards. So you are bricking in air quotes your win condition for the next 5 draws. So
Yeah.
you have to be pretty confident that you're going to win with her ability.
Yeah.
And Caitlyn actually, I really like Caitlyn, but not for Caitlyn Teemo. And this is for a meta deck.
Yeah.
I would really like to see Caitlyn go in the place of Ezreal in Ezreal Draven, because
Ooh.
she leaves units damaged.
Yes,
Just
that's very true.
inherently, which she is a 3 cost, so she levels up Hexbeam. I would like to try her out. She's because people have been trying to remove Ezreal from Ezreal Draven for like expansion. Like
Yeah.
what was the last one? Riven, yeah. And I think Caitlyn has a better shot because she is like very much doing what Ezreal Draven does, leaving units damaged.
Well, yeah, that's the whole thing. Is you want to be leaving them down so that it opens up like your other 3 cost moves, especially that what is it, guillotine? That is like the continuously usable one that you can get up your what dry beaming propulators, right?
Yes, yeah.
But
That's how I would probably use her. But you're absolutely right. This has launched Teemo into competitive viability.
I mean, that's what I mean. I feel like that's going to be obviously what's going to be the major thing you're going to be seeing. I do like her design because she can go in different places as well, as you say. Just those flash bombs. It's nice to see another form of trap in the game, because that's the thing. Is like, we've had only puff caps for so long that it's nice to see something else that can also trap cards, and so I look forward to seeing how they develop that in the future, because the other thing that people need to remember is at some point, who knows when, but at some point in any card games which it finishes, there has to be a point of cycling, and so imagine when because Teemo was from the base set, imagine if like Teemo cycles out, then Caitlyn is left just with her flash bombs and whatever other trap things, which then like a Karina Mastermind could also work with as well, because it is just all trap. So that's the thing, you need to be looking for the future as well, and I'm kind of interested to see what else could come out of that. So,
I was so convinced when we saw this like trap thing near the start of the set. It was like a little bit after Caitlyn's reveal. I was like so certain that Ziggs, when he leveled up, was going to shuffle in a bomb into your opponent's deck that like basically did lethal, like a mine into your opponent's deck that did like, I don't know, 10 damage, so it could combo with.
Wasn't there a card that did that in Hearthstone?
Yeah. That's basically what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But then we saw the landmark stuff with Xerath, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess that fits too. And then he released it.
Yeah.
I'm a little disappointed. I think traps are neat.
Yeah, no, traps are really neat, and I look forward to see how they develop that in the future. And it's weird that we got a kind of little bit more lore behind these things, because obviously with Karina, like the fact that she was in the police force for a little
Oh yeah,
bit,
I'm
there's
really excited to see like read all of the cards all the way through and like see how Caitlyn and Karina know each other because they're really building a story with these.
And that's what I love as well, is the little bit of lore that they're putting in. So after that, we did get Vega, right?
Yeah, Senna's
Vega.
boyfriend.
That's I mean, pretty much Lucian, move aside, boy. As now we have Vega, which yet again, I kind of really love him from a design point. I love the stupidity that his champion spell is to do with stuns when that's nothing to do with what he's actually doing, but also just the immediate Yasero Dex.
Yeah, I assume you saw the same thing as me.
Yes,
Yes,
yes.
God, oh, that it paints Mogwai so dirty.
It's just the fact that, but literally, like the comedy is like, I said that as well. Like in terms of,
Yeah,
oh, I can imagine, like I mean, like whenever any new stun card comes in, everyone's like, oh my god, this can work with Yasuro. Finally, Battle City Yasuro. That's the one that's gonna
this is it this time. It's not a drill.
which the
No.
comedy is. They've also given us the landmark with Zig, which also stuns, I believe. There's a there's
Yeah,
a,
yeah, yeah.
a one which is when I'm summoned or destroyed, stun the strongest. So it's like, oh my god, finally we've got the stun deck, which Yasra can work.
Finally, they've printed Guile on a landmark.
But
Uh,
that's what I mean. Like, it was like crazy to see Vega like this, in terms of, I like his the idea of his cards making the darkness like more powerful or reducing it in cost. And the
mhm.
thing with it is that when people saw this, like, oh, 3 mana darkness at slow speed, like not exactly the most fun thing, but you got cards which are reducing it. But it was more, what hyped Vega up more was the release of the champion directly after, which, considering the fact they are paired together, Senna and Vega together, with her fact that she can make the darkness be fast speed, is just like crazy if you can start buffing up its damage as well.
Yeah, Senna giving fast speed to your kill spells, and darkness being a 3 mana spell. I don't know if this will end up being good, but I will be trying
Mm,
gun bloody hex probulator
yes.
with Vagar and Senna.
Mm,
Uh, yeah, because like I don't even really need to play any 3 costs because I can just play darkness and Solari Sentinel or whatever. When I'm
yeah.
summoned, create a darkness. That's 2 stacks.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth a go, right?
I'll give it a try. Like
For comedy's sake.
there,
But
there's only a certain amount of bad that hex gun decks can be. So
mm,
like
I mean, the thing of it is that I think that they did um a very good job in designing Senna, because basically what it is that it feels like Vega has to kind of be paired with Senna. Obviously, there are Vega decks that you can make which are not paired with her, like potentially maybe a Victor or something like that. But
yeah.
you need other ways of shuffling in more darknesses. So like that. So Senna is what works perfectly with him. But Senna doesn't actually have to work with Vega. There's many like ideas of decks that can just be made just with Senna, with somebody else. Like there's already been the idea of go hard with Senna, like potentially like a working with like Karma or some, or like with the build things like Zap to draw those Karmas out, like because obviously if you do the fast speed go hards, like the third one and the fourth one together, then the fourth one turns into pack your bags. So you've basically got your pack your bags for 1 cost, or if Senna levels, 0 cost.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I mean. It's crazy moves like that that like I think Senna is nicely designed because she can go into a number of different decks. Like she's not just a simple, this is just where she sits and nowhere else.
Yeah, Senna combos with pretty much everyone except Lucian.
Yeah,
Yes. No.
I mean, pretty much, right?
Also, what you've got to remember with Vagar is because he's Bandle City Shadow Isles, like he's a dual region card, you can play Senna's support cards with him. You don't need to
Yeah.
shuffle in the darknesses.
Mm.
Yeah. Like it would be bad, but like you could play another champion and still use Senna's support cards.
Mm. Yeah, I
But
know, but I feel like if you're playing, I don't know, maybe it's just me who likes because Vega's all about the damage of the darkness. I feel like you need his like potentially some of his Bandle City cards which increase the damage of darkness. But
yeah,
yeah,
well, you could play both and then have your second champion be fucking Poppy. I don't know. He has low power.
true, but it just be
Yeah,
it'd be
yeah.
crazy to come up with ideas. I mean, it's definitely doable, right?
Yeah,
But
the thing with Senna Vega, the deck together, which makes me a little bit afraid, is their champion spells are so powerful, or at least so long as Senna's in play. Their champion spells are so powerful that whenever your opponent has a champion in play, pretty much like it is such a tilter. It is such a tilter dying to or losing to them double drawing their champions. Like they're not main decking Dawning Shadow, or I imagine they're not. But a vengeance that also freezes in air quotes your board is so powerful.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tilter.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be one of those things. We're just going to have to see how it goes and like how it goes meta wise with these cards and that because
Mhm.
obviously you've still got quite a bit of like fast decks going on at this moment in time. So it's whether or not you've got the time to get there. We'll
Yes.
find out because obviously Shadow Isles does have some healing potential, so they might be able to stall out to the late game as well as obviously the Sentinel card that they've got does have life steal, which is making that darkness like happen like twice, right? Which is next time that you play the darkness, it does the darkness and then it does it on the Nexus, like
Yeah.
does it like
Yeah.
yeah. So it's one of those things we just got to see. But I really like Senna's design. But as you said, it's really funny that she works with everyone other than Lucian
Yeah.
because I don't think is there any actual slow speed spells within Demacia that this
What
works with? Because
it
it has
doesn't
to be.
it doesn't work with Relentless Pursuit, and that's the most important thing.
That is true. It does not work with Relentless Pursuit because it has to be something which is killing or damaging. It does
Yeah.
work with Shampoo, so you can still
Yes,
get.
yes. What Senna is more so Katarina's girlfriend than Lucian's at this point.
It's crazy that there's no synergy. I mean, the only
It's
synergy in there is if he dies, then she levels. Or
does strike cards count? Like, are
I
those
don't know. We
damage
don't know yet.
spells? Yeah.
Without testing, we don't like obviously like strike cards. It'd be nice to see whether or not they do, but we don't actually know because technically they don't say deal damage or definitely kill, and her text says like a damage and kill. I mean, I know that you are doing damage by striking, but it's not a.
Mm,
It doesn't
yeah.
like say on the card. That's going to be the thing. I think what is most interesting about her little set of her little band of people who are all joining Shadow Isles is obviously like you've got like the Demacian Sentinel who's can't be played in Demacia. Like I don't know, there's like certain
Yeah.
things that made me laugh there. But the one card that I'm actually really interested in is the Watcher of Watcher on the Isles because to me that forecast is a forecast like each round the first time that you slay a unit with a spell, deal 2 to the enemy Nexus. I like the idea of this guy in a Swain deck. I can honestly see this little man being in potentially a Shadow Old Swain deck, whereby you're doing damage, like especially like I said, maybe Senna Swain could be quite a funny little combination.
Oh yeah, I'm always happy to see new shades of SI control making it into the meta. It feels like a
Yeah.
while since we've had SI play as the predominant, color of a control deck. Like I don't know if Nasa's Thresh counts.
Yeah.
No.
But after that point, after those finishes, we got Tristana, right?
Yeah. Oh, off the top of my head, I believe so. Yeah.
Yep. So we then hit into Tristana, who was actually the first one that we saw who was only Bandle City, right? She wasn't paired with another like whereas like all the other Yorls that we'd seen, like champion wise, they'd all been paired off with another region. She was the only one which was not paired off with a region.
Still is, I think.
That's what I
Like,
mean. The only,
yeah,
the only
yeah,
one
yeah,
who's
yeah,
the only
yeah.
one who's.
I
not
thought you meant
paired
at that point in the release. Yeah. No, yeah.
Mm.
She is our only Bandle City representative.
Mm. Which is funny because she's all to do with multi regions, but doesn't count as one herself, like type thing. But
Yeah.
it's nice to have a champion who you can actually just make a multi region deck with, which is what the majority of Battle City's cards are, right? Is which is like multi region cards. So I say the majority. They do have quite a lot of their own stuff, but a lot of the stuff they can do is multi-region and their champions. So it was nice to see that there's like a way of maybe doing just a multi-region deck and seeing how it goes.
Yeah, I think her effect is quite strong. Like
Mm,
I think she's just reasonably generically powerful.
mm.
On the same day we got to see the Allegiance card for Bandle City, which is probably absolute crap. Like I think this might be one of the worst Allegiance cards.
Well, to summon another Yordle follower that costs 3 or less.
Well, most of the Yordles have summon effects, right? Or
I
sorry,
mean,
play effects.
true.
Yeah, it seems a little bit odd that like because it could summon what the Bandle City Mayor, the Bandle Painter, I'm not going to go through them all, but you see where I'm going with this. There's
Yeah.
a lot of just stats that don't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, I get what you mean, but I guess I'm just trying to think through all the other allegiance units and all the other regions to think like, is there anyone else that I mean, what I would have,
PNC,
what I
it's the
would have,
worst one.
yeah, what I would have liked would have been at least that gives you potentially a map that you can go elusive on your part. I don't know, but what I would have liked instead was maybe it. Like, I mean, not even that, I guess, because as you say, there's a lot of cards which are all to do with play effects. I was going to say, like, if it was summon a Yordle from your deck, because then the potential of that being that it could summon a champion from your deck would have been potentially interesting. But as I said, a lot of their moves are play, so I don't even know whether or not that would have been good enough.
I would have liked it better if it just said summon a three or less cost follower from another region, or like a region not in your deck. I don't know how they would have to word it, but
Yeah,
just like if you were playing the Bandle tree or whatever,
yeah,
at least then you would like be sure that it wasn't summoning something from, because there's a couple of high rolls like where it'll drag Yordles that are dual region and it'll give you some
yeah,
progress,
yeah.
but like if it doesn't, you're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand your point on that. I mean, but which like it was still like it was more the mayor. I think I was more hyped. Like out of all the support cards in that thing, it was the mayor who I was most hyped for. Number one because of his voice lines, and number two just because I think like it actually is quite a nice, powerful effect. If you were running a multi-region deck with Justine, the fact that it's making all multi-region units cost 1 less, like the idea of potentially building a board quite quickly to go forward with could be nice.
Nice. Yeah,
Nice.
I agree. Yeah, I think the card's pretty strong. I think from Tristana's reveal day, the one that got me going was Bandle Gunners. Because like
Right.
unlike the other card that says grant me impact 4 times, and it's crazy that there's 2 cards that say that in the set, but whatever. Unlike the other one, it has spell shield, so I think, and it's also a pretty easy level up condition. So
Yeah.
I think it might be a legitimate way of summoning a 7/7 that decimates on its way
Yeah.
down, like
Mm.
which is just a pretty good effect. That's like pretty comparable to Captain Farron.
Yeah. I mean, the thing of it is that they also released this with double tap. And I believe that if you like, it's whether or not something's gonna survive the first strike, right? Because
Hmm.
it's if you because I believe that impact does its damage for every time you strike while attacking.
Attacking, yes.
So this kind of a card like double tap could actually mean that you could get that off twice, but it's whether or not whatever you're targeting is going to survive the first hit. Like especially coming up with a card like Bandlewood Gun where it's already doing 7 damage.
Yeah,
The
well, with Furious Feyfolk, the other one, the dual region one that we would be
yes,
doing this with, it is only 5 power, so a couple of things will survive that.
yeah, that's true. Yeah, because it's only dual region that does the second strike. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, because I remember when I saw this thinking, why couldn't they make Swole Squirrel dual region?
Good. I'm glad our minds were in the same like space.
Yes. I mean, they're throwing like in the art. They're throwing a nut. They're
Yeah,
throwing a
yeah,
nut at the guy. At least what you get, like, give the squirrel his nuts. Make him
yeah.
multi-region.
Yeah, it's weird that it is like being shot by a nut, because that would mean it's like Gruff Grenadier, and Gruff Grenadier is not multi-region. Like
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it's
flavor
a bit of
fail.
a shame. It's a bit of a shame, but you know, it's still a card that you can do some interesting things with. So I look forward to seeing how it gets experimented with.
And then they cranked the power up to 11, and then 12 just to like
Yes.
seal the deal. God, Scion's reveal day gave me fucking fright or flight, whatever it is, fight or
I mean,
flight.
This is your man, isn't it?
This is my main in League of Legends, yeah, and I love him as a card. I love him as a card. What I'm afraid of is
Yes.
all the other shit. Like the other stuff that came with him is like looks largely more powerful than just good old Jinx Draven, right?
Yeah,
Like
I mean, it was really like the comedy of the fact that like discard aggro has always been a deck which has always been around, right? Like in terms of like it's always been a thing, and it rarely changes with new cards that get added every now and then. Like a card gets shuffled out and something else takes its place, and it really doesn't get like changed up that much. These cards might shuffle up discard aggro quite a bit.
yeah.
Let's just say
Uh
that.
Discard aggro gives me the fear with so the really stupid ones. The really stupid one is the uh 3/2 ephemeral for 0 and the 3/1 fearsome that when discarded gives you a 4/2 fearsome.
Yeah,
The other ones are all reasonably okay, and they're much more leaning towards like the discard mid-range deck that Sion's trying to push.
yeah,
But discard aggro has always been like the day one deck for climbing, and I
yeah.
am just very afraid of everyone climbing very quickly this season.
I mean, with these cards being added, like they're definitely going to be. I mean, the comedy is like the reason why I love Scion is like his design and whatnot is so nice. Because if you remember when we first started seeing cards from the set, like one of the first cards that people started complaining about was Aloof Travelers,
Yeah.
who like discards like the highest cost card. Like once you draw, like Scion laughs at that fact. It's
Uh,
like.
there are so many things I love about Sion. He
Mm,
is like like 2 days before this dropped. My flatmate's been trying to get me into Yu-Gi-Oh, and I'm pretty interested in giving it a shot. And he asked me what kind of decks I like, and I said I like playing like mono green ish in MTG. I like playing big units that make control players uncomfortable. I like trying to survive against aggro, and I like making control players survive, which is why I played Demacia mostly.
yeah.
Scion is exactly the kind of card to make control players squirm. It's a little bit weak to silence and to
Mm,
Will of Ionia specifically, but every other shade of control in Legends of Runeterra needs to pump an entire like they need to take out a mortgage to like for the cards deficit that will result in them dealing with both of Scion's faces.
yes.
He's a bloody 10-6 that has Death Rattle Rally.
Yep, and he comes back again also with that magnificent power and still overwhelm. Like the
I love
idea
him.
of the old combo that used to be done with like Tryndamere, move aside. The old combo that used to be done with him and Shadow Rolls and like basically going forward, going forward and then using atrocity to then go into their thing, which would then level him up and he'd then still do
Oh
that
yeah.
damage forward. The idea of the lens is like, that, but like the next level because of the fact that
I
literally.
I don't think it works like it would with Trendemir because Trendemir like levels, whereas Scion has Laughed Breath summon a different unit.
Well, no. What you'd do is
Oh, wait, summon.
you would
Yeah,
go
yeah,
forward. You'd go forward with the
yeah.
10-6. So you go forward, go into that attack, which has got overwhelm. If he doesn't die, atrocity face.
I see. Yeah.
If they're still alive, you've rallied and they've got another like 10-4 with
Yeah.
overwhelm.
I'm a
Like,
bit slow today.
it's all good, buddy. It's all. I mean, that's something, but that's like that, but to an evil because that is like 30 damage that you're trying to go into the enemy nexus with.
He is unrelentingly aggressive as a single card. Like he's
Yes.
not an aggro card, but like he is like unrelenting on the face of it.
Yeah.
And I love his level up animation so much, and he also brings new life to one of my favorite decks to ever exist, which was Darrowing, which I'm going to need to think of a new name for. Because
Yes.
like Darius is getting booted the fuck out because now my Harrowing says rally on
So,
it.
so, I'm siring. Like,
So well,
I don't know. I don't know. Like,
Harrowion.
yeah, but
Yeah,
I'm sure you're coming with a name. I mean, his only major counter is obviously Minimorph. I think is about
yes.
his major counter, which obviously again was another card which people were having a go about. to me, I don't really mind mini morph in the game personally. It's a
Yep.
6 cost. It's one of those things whereby if you know that your opponent could be running it, your main strategy is to go wide on the ball because they can only target one unit, and um, it's one of those things where as long as you go wide, once they go past 6 mana, they can't use it anymore. It's a lot of 6 mana is a lot of mana to hold on to. So all you got to do is start getting things out, and eventually, it won't even matter the fact that they're mini morphing something because your ball to be wider and going forward against them anyway. So to me, that's why it never really bothered me. Like
The,
it's
yeah, the people who are complaining about Minimorph are the same people that are complaining about Aloof Travelers, and these are the same people that don't put more than one win condition in their deck.
mm.
So I am a-okay with these people being punished. Like if like the all in Anivia I'm fine with because that deck requires stupid amounts of setup, but like all in Lee Sin and to a lesser extent all in Farron are decks that needed to be punished because you can't just have your deck be 37 control. Sorry, not 37. That's the wrong game. 27. Wait, how many fucking cards are in Legends of Runeterra decks?
40 cards in a deck.
I was right the first time. Yeah, sorry. I play so many card games.
Fair play.
37 control cards and then 3 win cons. I hate that deck style.
Mm. Yeah, no, I'd have to agree with you there. Like, in terms of when they go all in on one thing, that's kind of like really difficult to stop.
Yeah.
So this does like punish that. And it's one of those things whereby it you can play around it. Like if you know, it's like the same thing if you're playing against Ionia. Like you kind of try to get them out of the way of deny, and then once they're out of the way, they go, "Ha, you fool!" And then you do the spell that you wanted to do. Like it's one of those things where
it's like playing against Freljord even like it like they have so much burst like if you're playing Lee Sin as against Freljord you put your Bastion on before you attack instead of in response to their spell. It's just
yeah.
like the same shit.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So, like, if you know how to play and you've built your deck, like you still can find ways around it. So that's
Mhm.
why, to me, I never really saw a problem with it, as being a card. But after Scion, we then got Nami.
This is where we went to fucko boingo land. These cards are so weird.
I mean, they are. I mean, the best card, the grandmother, right?
Who? Oh, Lady of Blood.
No, I was gonna say the grandmother, who's the
There's
one
a
who,
grandmother?
when I'm summoned, create 5 random 6+ cards in
Oh,
your
Great
deck.
Mother.
Sorry, great mother, that's the one, not
Yeah.
grandmother, great mother. I mean, that's
Yeah, I was so my I need to think about how I'm going to make this deck to work, but I am probably going to play a deck with 1 copy of Tidal Wave,
yeah,
Zap, and Great Mother. So if I draw 1 Zap before Great Mother, it's not the end of the world. I can start trying to do the Tidal Wave thing.
yeah,
And if I draw it after Great Mother, then I shoot all of this random bullshit. That's
yeah,
the plan right now.
yeah.
But I love this card so much.
I love this card, and I feel like there's so many different ways you could go about building with her because, like, you could either you could either go say down a Shadow Hours route whereby you've got more ways of resummoning, or you've
Mhm.
got more ways of resummoning Zap Sprayfin so that you're drawing those cards more often. You could go down a PNZ route whereby once like you could go for a little bit of predict same thing that if you were to go down a Shurima route, you could use some of the predict cards to predict into, but what PNZ gives you is the potential chance of copying some of those, copying the one spell that you really want that costs 3. And would you like shuffling more copies into the deck? You could even use this in what I think is going to be like in my opinion what's going to be one of the better ways of using it, but I might be terribly wrong. My mind goes for a Bilgewater Ionia deck whereby you use the spell draw stuff that they have, be it through the River Shaper or like, 'cause obviously you can still have Zap Sprayfin in that deck, River Shaper and Deep Meditation to try and get those cards as quickly as possible, and then that means that you can pair potentially with like Karma or which I guess like Lee does work with spells, but like a Karma or like a Fizz with Nami, like either way, I could see that kind of a deck being quite powerful.
Yeah, that I would agree with you that that's probably the best version. I one in regards to the predict version you said.
Yes.
That was my first. My first thought was
Yes.
practical. My first thought was practical perfectionist, but she doesn't make exact copies. It's
It's
the end of
true.
the fucking world. I was
Yeah,
so upset when I figured that out.
that's why I said like a counterfeit copies rather than. It's such a shame that she doesn't make use of
Yeah,
but counterfeit copies
yeah,
is its way that it could be used in PNC. But obviously, as I said, it can be used in Shurima as well for that predict to get in there. Like because obviously like Shurima's got a lot more predict. So once you shuffle those cards in, potentially trying to predict them, like whether or not you decide to go down that way, it's a way.
yeah.
That's what makes.
You can still play the new card. The I forget what it's called. It digs 5 cards deep and gives you an exact fleeting copy of a thing. You, you know the guy that came out with Caitlyn.
Yeah. I can't remember what his I can't remember what his name is, but I know what you mean. But
Uh,
that's what I mean. There's certain cards like that. So the one other card that I felt was really funny to use with this kind of a thing, like I said, if we were to go down the Ionian route, was obviously the new Ionian card, which is each round, the first time that you recall a follower, summon an exact ephemeral copy of it. The idea of using, say, Grandmother or Zap in this deck with using the the Ionian landmark. Because bear in mind that the like Nami works with spells, right? So every single time that you're getting that 1 mana like retreat spell or whatever the hell it's called that you get from like Sanctuary, I think it's called.
mhm.
The card that you get from there, like you're gonna be buffing up the weakest unit, but you can draw back either the Great Mother or Zap to be able to draw into these 5+ goals or put more into the deck as well. So that kind of route I thought
Yeah,
was quite funny.
I real so I'm trying to think. There was a ton of other really wacky cards that came out that day. So the Matriarch was one of them with the whenever you recall, make an exact copy.
Yes.
The other one was when you pick a card from randomly selected options. I have so many questions when it comes to this.
Yes, this is very true. So obviously that's going to be invoke. It's going to be manifest. It's going to be potentially predict. Because
Yes, that's what I want to know.
predict is randomly finishing, and maybe even potentially prank. Because prank, you're getting to choose one of your opponent's cards randomly to put.
Oh no.
So potentially prank, but I don't know if it counts. But potentially prank, right?
But potentially, like, would you consider those random options because they are cards that your opponent has in hand?
Well,
Like,
it's randomly choosing. I don't know because
yeah.
it's,
Oh well,
it's
I
hard
suppose
to
predict is
tell.
randomly from deck. I suppose.
That's
Uh,
what I mean. So I don't know. I honestly don't like. That's gonna
I
be one of those things that I want to test out.
I have a combo deck built and ready to go, but 2 of the cards dead ass might just not work the way I want them to.
Yeah,
So Curious Shellfolk needs to work with Predict because I want to
yeah,
play Curious Shellfolk and Feral Presence on the same turn.
yes,
And Mirror Mage needs to work like Soul Shepherd. Mirror Mage being whenever you play a creative follower, summon an exact copy, and
yeah,
Soul Shepherd being whenever you play an ephemeral, give it +1/+1. If
yeah.
Soul Shepherd is ephemeral, it gets +1/+1. I want if Mirror Mage is created, will it copy itself?
True.
And if it does, which it would be consistent with the rulings, I am going to do unholy things tonight.
I mean, I look forward. I look forward to seeing what you do. The other thing that I would say about the curious shell folk is, do you remember before when Mimic was able to uh make the champion spell and then make the champion?
Oh
Like
no.
if it works with prank can affect champions, right? So
Predict can get champions.
predict can get champions, so you can get more. But I'm thinking more about it like it's like
Your
mimic. Mimic
opponent's
used
pranks,
your
yeah.
opponent's champion. So that's what I mean. The idea, because the comedy of it is that it's make it make a like a copy of it, but not an exact copy. So their one will be pranked and your one won't. Like, and also it's reduced its cost by 1. So you could get one of their champions, prank one of their champions to make it worse, but yours is still the normal one, but it costs 1 less as well. I'm cute. Like that is why I really want to test Curious Shellfolk out with pranks is because I want to know whether that works. If so,
I
that
want to
is
know if I can steal a 9-cost Aurelian Soul from my opponent while making their one cost 11.
exactly. I mean, is that too much to ask?
The another card where I have no idea how it works is Avatar of Tides. What does that first line of text mean
Yes!
to you?
Yes! Right, so yeah, I was saying about this as well, right? So does that mean that if you were to get to 7, like say you play this on 6, will you never get to 7 mana? Because it says if you would get a mana gem, instead refill your spell mana. So to me, technically at the start of a round, you would get a mana gem. So instead of doing that, it gives you spell mana. So you don't. So at that point, do you just stop mannering up?
I think so. I assume it means that you still fill your 6 mana gems, but you don't get a 7th.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Like, the way that it could be is you fill your 6 mana gems but don't get a 7th. You don't fill your mana gems at all, but you get a 7th.
Yeah.
Or you fill your mana gems as normal and you get your 7th, and what it meant was whenever you do it actively, like whenever you attune or whatever.
Yeah.
If it's that third one, this card's absolutely bonkers. And if it's that first one, then this card is so much fun.
Well, it's more because the way that I was thinking, it's like if you would get a mana gem, instead refill Fuji. So that means for every single time that would happen, right? In my opinion,
Yeah.
like if that would, like, because I guess actually no. It does say, wait, I'm trying to, no, 'cause there is actually, it is just mana gems, aren't they? They're not like it, because it's spell mana is the one that's the free mana. So mana gems are the ones that as you go up. So I said, even if you were to use this and go, well, I can get round this by using what's it, catalyst or like those things. It doesn't say for the first time that you would get a mana gem. It just says if you would get. So even if you try like any form of ramp,
5 cost to get 3 mana. Yes,
exactly,
please.
exactly. Well, isn't that what that does? By
I think
that
so.
context,
I do think so. I'm just excited to play Unworthy.
No. Speaking of unworthy, Senna can actually make unworthy usable.
My Bilgewater Shadow Isles Shurima deck is coming together.
Exactly. I know, but honestly, like the fact that she also makes Weight of Judgment cost like fast speed, like potentially a Shurima Shadow House deck with Senna. Just off topic, sorry, but it's just started talking about it. Potentially could be a thing. But you know, actually, Avatar of the Tides. I'm so like until I use this card, I'm so confused.
I am going to build an Avatar deck with Unworthy in it, and I'll see if it works. I'll see if I can backwards ramp myself to oblivion.
Yeah, because at that point, like it's whether or not you still gain mana crystals at the as the rounds go on or not. Because the way that it's worded makes it sound like if you play this on 6, you're never getting to 7.
Welcome to turn 6. I hope you enjoy your stay.
I mean, that's what it looks like. But Nami as a champion is really good. Obviously, like they've thought about her design because of the fact that she doesn't. It makes sure that it doesn't give Kegs the plus stats because it says if it's a mobile, like unless it's like give it to the weakest other than allies that have immobile. So it like because otherwise this would be a really, if that wasn't in there, the comedy of the fact that I could get a really buff Keg.
Yeah, well, there's probably ways to use that.
I mean, actually, guess if you could give Kegs more stats, it makes them harder. It makes them harder to remove. I guess.
You're right. You just make the fattest stack of Kegs, and you have no damage spells in your deck. But eventually, they're going to have to start throwing units into it.
Exactly,
because they don't know you're not running any.
I mean, it would be great.
Yeah,
it'd be great. But you know, honestly, that was a nice little set that we got there. Then we hit the new Ascended.
Yeah.
Like, is it Zerath? Is it
Zerath?
Zerath, yeah, Zerath is that. I didn't know how to say it. But you know, Zerath hits the board as being another Ascended. I feel in a mono Shurima deck, he actually will be another. I mean, because like, if you can get him Ascended, which if you're playing an Ascended deck properly, then most of the time it's all about just trying to hit that Ascendance Rise and get in there as quickly as possible. If this guy's on the board, 5 damage to the enemy Nexus every single round is not a bad thing.
Yeah, Ascendance. Yeah, this is better than Nasus as a third champion at a legitimate win condition when you hit level 3.
Definitely, because obviously the problem with Nasus was his cost, trying to get him out on the board with, because that was the thing, like, you want those, for the curve that you were looking for, you wanted to get like a Sun Discount on turn 1, bank the mana turn 2, throw down Azir turn 3, throw down Renekton turn 4, and then you could go into a sentence because you'd have 5 mana plus the 2 mana from turn 2 to potentially. We're talking if you hit everything perfectly. Nasus was one of those cards whereby he just cost a little bit too much to go into that kind of a curve. He still had like a really great, powerful like free move, like when he goes into which at level 3, but not as powerful as this in my opinion, because this is at least doing 5 damage, and mana cost wise, this fits more in what, like, trying to get that mono stream and stuff activated quickly to throw out Ascendance Rise.
I forgot, like, Ascended Rise has to be the most miserable pull off of Mirai Great Mother.
Oh yeah. No. There are some bad pulls. Have you not actually looked at what all the good pulls and all the bad pulls would be?
No, because I haven't looked into it. No.
Admittedly, what you get, like, okay, so they've given, like, some of the cards they've given us in this set. I feel like this is the reason why they gave us Weapons of the Lost in Noxus, was so that there's another kind of, like, I guess it's not the worst thing, but there's definitely better cards that you could get.
That's a 3-cost Shield Breaker. That's pretty good.
I mean, yeah. True, actually, I guess at 3 cost. I was thinking about ads, which at 8 cost. So you're absolutely right. At 3 cost, that's actually not bad, doing damage and finishing. But no, I was going to say, there is Molten Breath or whatever it is, if you're not running any dragons.
Oh, yeah.
Is useless. There was a number of them. We actually went through them the other day, but I cannot remember all the bad ones. But there are actually some quite bad hits. Ascendance Rise is obviously one of the worst because it does nothing if you're not running a deck like that. But but obviously, like, the great hits that you're looking for there are Skies Descend, Feel the Rush, the what's his face? Like, I mean, some people say Ruination, but Ruination is still, even though I guess it's free mana, but it's still taking out your board at the same time. So I guess it depends on the board states as to whether or not that's good. I guess free mana Harrowing's never bad.
God, the more I think about it, the more this card's stupid.
I mean, I guess actually it's been given a really good card when we got Zerath, because we got that Finishing of Desolation, that the 7 mana burst speed made, like, anything that died this round, landmarks and finishing, like, put them into a status thing. So the immediate counter to Ruination.
God. Zerath, I don't particularly like his card design. I like him in the Sundisk deck as a legitimate win con, but as his first 2 like faces, he doesn't really interest me that much. I do like the card that came with him, 2 of them, Herald of the Magus and Sandseer. Herald of the Magus, obviously, being able to get value from your what's it called?
Howling Abyss.
Howling Abyss, yeah.
Giving everyone, all champions everywhere 2/2 and overwhelm.
Yep, and the great thing is, if you're really in a sitch, if you're in a really bad position, you can sacrifice your own Howling Abyss to Herald of the Magus. No, the Sandseer though, I've tried to make, so I think it has 22 landmarks in it. I've made a Twisted Fate landmark deck. Which, curves Twisted Fate into Sandseer, and you let Jesus take the wheel, and you draw 9 landmarks in a row, and then you win the game.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen a lot of people using Sandseer in a completely landmark deck other than 1 copy of Sandseer.
Very nice!
to just get all their cards and draw. I mean, like, there's been a few people, I think Saucy Malman put out a clip on Twitter, but I saw somebody else post a clip on Twitter as well. Just the idea of just like, I will defeat myself in an OTK by just drawing myself to death.
That, but productive.
But yeah, no. So there are also, like, some really interesting ideas that could come out of a card like that if you are running a landmark. Like if you're running a serious landmark deck,
Yeah.
that is actually some things that could come out of that. As well as I guess like if you are running that, as you say, like Twisted Fate. With that, you've got the idea of running the I can't think of the damn name of it right now. The 3-mana Bilgewater toss card thing.
3-mana Bilgewater toss. Oh, you mean the at the start of your turn toss a card.
Yeah,
Yeah,
once it's deep, it gives you like I guess like you could have that in there because if this is if you got like
yeah.
quite a
You'll
landmarking
get
deck,
deep real easy.
yeah, exactly. That's the thing that I was thinking there.
Yeah.
To do that, like potentially something along those lines, but yeah, really like it for what it could do for landmark decks. So then, obviously, our last one we got was Ziggs, which was actually a big surprise. Like, I mean, the thing of it, you know what the comedy was? We were talking about this in the stream that I was doing earlier on the day that he got released, and we were talking about like what he could be and whatnot. And somebody in chat just mentioned, well, I mean, like he could be Shurima. And I was like, oh my god, that he actually could be Shurima because obviously, like people were like, he's going to be P and Z. But I was like, oh my god, he could be Shurima because obviously, if they're going to go down that way in order to help Zerath, who we've just got with landmarks, if he's doing blowing things up, he's going to blow up landmarks and whatnot. And there's everyone else in chat, oh, they can't do that. He's going to be PNC. He's going to be PNC. Then boom, he does hit, which did hit a number of the people who really are in depth in the lore. Didn't like this.
Yeah, no, I know that this made a lot of people angry, which yeah, but it just makes me laugh, to be honest.
I mean,
no. Yeah, go on.
At the end of the day, what they need to do, like, they've done it as a design choice to go with what Zerath is doing, but not only that, I think it's because they needed because up until that point, we had no cards which were Bandle City Shurima. Like there was no like every other region had a card which was that and that. And like, I'm not saying champions. I mean like we have the telescope which is in Targon, the manifest telescope thing. We have the little arena guy who's Noxus, famously like the followers. But we actually had no cards which were Shurima with Bandle City, so that's why I felt like they were going to go down that route, is because they wanted to give every region some kind of connection to Bandle City, which would also help, I guess, with the Bandle City landmark. So that's why I really felt like he was going to be Shurima, and obviously they've got to go with what fits the design that they're going for, and obviously they wanted to go with destroying landmarks as being a thing, and you can't really put that in PNZ because PNZ, from what I remember, has got no countdown landmarks. So no landmarks which are destroying themselves. Like obviously I said, you got the hex, you got the what's his face, the drawing landmark that works with Teemo and the University of Piltover. Neither one of those are countdown, so they're not going to, because obviously a landmark gets destroyed when it counts down as well. That's another thing to remember about how this works. And so Shurima's got more options in that front than PNZ, so that's why I think it made sense to put a champion in a region. Like if this is the design they decide to go with, it makes sense to put them in a region where they can actually thrive.
Yeah, and the post they made about it where they said like champions are not static beings, they're not born somewhere and stay there forever. It makes sense. Like there's a lot of reasons why Ziggs would be in Shurima to live out his fantasy of destroying very, very old things.
True, very true. But yeah, so that's why it didn't really bother me. I felt like it did make sense from what they were trying to like to make it with the design they chose of him being to do with destroying landmarks. It seemed to make sense.
Yeah, agreed.
And I have to say that I like the idea of, but like I wish that Mega Inferno Bomb hit the Nexus as well. The reason why I wish that Mega Inferno could hit the Nexus as well is because it would lend more credence to the idea of trying to make a a Bandle City keg deck.
Oh,
because obviously keg, like with the kegs. Because I assume that this works the same way that the Shurima spell did, whereby it would stack. So if you do this, it's gonna do so if you've got one keg, it's gonna do 2 damage twice, so doing 4 damage. But if this hit the enemy Nexus as well, the idea of making a keg deck, we're trying to get the kegs up and getting like big value off of this hitting twice. would have been really funny, in
Yeah,
my
I
opinion.
oh no, I a hard agree. Like
Mm.
I would have also drastically preferred it if it worked for face. Like I just really like the animation. Like I
Oh
really
yeah,
like the animation of Bouncing Bomb as well. They're all really good animations, but the cards are like super lackluster, which is disappointing.
mm.
But
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. So I still think they did a really good job on the set. Um, in it, which as a whole, there's so many crazy different avenues to go down, and the different weird little combat tricks that we might see coming out as well, which is nice. Obviously, which mini morph is one of like the main ones that you're going to be um, seeing and whatnot. But there is also things like stress defense, which is that burst speed. Which are like I've set a unit stats to 1/6 this round, which can either be used defensively or offensively and used on your opponent's stuff as well. So 3 mana burst speed, turning that Lee Sin potentially into a 1/6 that's like not doing too much damage to your Nexus. Um, the idea of what was it like? There's that little one which is really going to help elusives out. The shake one that which grow an
oh
ally to free this. I mean,
yeah,
there's so many different moves now that you're going to have to try to think and think that well this could be a cat like that's always the thing that I found like which you find the hardest when an expansion first hits is trying to remember okay what all the new cards which can if I do this what am I expecting you know what I mean
yeah. Ambush, the Grant elusive, and +2/+0.
yes exactly
Yeah,
like that's what
so
there's a
many
lot
ways I can die now.
I mean, there are so many ways to die. I'm really looking forward to one of the first decks I'm building. Gonna be a Bandle tree deck. Like the idea of using that landmark. Like obviously, the first thought is Bilgewater as being where I want to go with that, with the summoning random one costs,
Yeah,
and hoping that
that's really that's
that's gonna
actually
help me. It's
that
so it's the upsetting thing. I say it's upsetting. Like it's a route which a number of people were thinking. It's the fact that I've seen that already. Was it Silverfuse has put out? She's an amazing creator, by the way, amazing content creator.
yeah.
Has put out a deck, and I was like, oh damn, that was made.
No,
But
it's good to see like the one mana deck having an actual win condition.
yeah, that's what I mean. Like, because as well, Bilgewater got given that new card, which also summons a one cost. Like, because obviously they have the 1 mana card, which is like which is jailbreak or yeah, jailbreak, which gives you a random one cost. They've now got the 2 cost one, which got given with Nami, which is like the 2/1, which is summon a random one cost, and obviously they've got double trouble, which is giving you 2 random one. Like there's so many things in there which summon those random one costs that just works quite nicely with that landmark that I really want to explore and see whether or not I can build a deck which is going to go down that route.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's what I want to see how that does. But obviously, there are so many other. Like, it's one of those things where you're paralyzed for choice about what to do first, right?
Yeah, I am gonna play every deck until I do the thing that I want to do. I'm gonna take that clip, I'm gonna add it to the collection, then I'm gonna switch,
Yeah, fair
and
play.
I'm gonna repeat until I pass out or go to work at 6 a.m.
Yep.
tomorrow. uh, but I suppose the last thing we should mention is the patch notes or lack thereof.
Yes, yeah. Like we got hit with all this stuff, and then sadly, patch notes were a little bit lackluster. Which actually, the funny thing was, I was expecting them to be a little bit lackluster because of the fact that we were getting new cards.
Yeah,
The bit that I was not expecting was when they said that we are going to be getting patch notes, which I believe is like in like so a whole month is going to go by without any.
October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
October 20th, so nearly 2 months.
Hmm.
2 months without any changes. It feels like I get that they need to see how things set like how the new cards settle in and that they do have the thing whereby it has to be 2 weeks in advance for the mobile app or whatnot, so they wanted time to gather the stuff. But it still feels like without any changes going on, especially to the Shurima like set that's going on at this moment in time with like obviously gifts for Renekton
Yeah.
and Sivir. It just feels like they could have done something there to like just appease the masses.
Yeah, I
But
honestly, every single time there's 125 cards being added to the deck. We don't know what's broken right now.
yes,
Like nerfing things before enormous sets is so bloody pointless. Like I'm happy with this the way it is, and
Yeah.
sure, October 20th is a long way away, but there's also an entire other set coming out before then, so the same applies. I think it will take long enough for the meta to settle that it will be fine.
Mm.
Yeah, and like honestly, the problem is that the meta deck is always going to look roughly the same. Like pretty much every meta deck follows a similar template where it tries to win harder than every other deck. Like it's we're never going to have a super like wacky over the top like meta deck. It's always going to be some form of go face. So I'm not particularly concerned with the meta not shifting too much.
Yeah.
Like
You know,
honestly,
I can see what you mean. It's one of those things. I feel like people just blow things a little bit out of proportion because they want things like I still think that which I'm gonna say like probably the reason why there's frustration was how long it took for the last patch. Like when they when they changed cards around there, it was actually quite a while until they did that. So
yeah.
I feel like that's where people's frustration is coming in, is that they said that they were going to look at the way that they do balance patches and whatnot, and then they give you that information that they're not going to do any balance patches up until the 20th. I
No,
feel
no.
that's what hit that's what hit the community in the way that it did. I think
That's just an alpha move. That's just an alpha move. We're gonna look at the way we do patch notes, and we decided we were correct.
But as you say, like because is there another set? Because I can't remember. Is the other set hitting in October or November? I can't actually remember when that. Because there's the set in between the set, as you say. So there might even be new cards hitting between the 20th of October, but I can't remember if it was
they,
October.
I believe in their justification for why it's going to take so long for them to do patch notes. They said because another set is coming out. I'm pretty sure it's the start of October.
Yeah, because that's it. I knew that they were putting in a little mini expansion because they did like obviously when they were announcing the roadmap and whatnot, the little video where we got Ryan Umbridge and whatnot on there. There was like because they were gonna do a massive change to the PVE event type thing, and then there was like a little thing that there might be some cards added, not a lot of cards, but some cards added during that time. So I guess like one of those like tiny champion expansions that we've had before.
Yeah, and I think
Type
that's
thing.
the 22nd of September by my reckoning.
So I guess yeah, there are more cards, but like people don't see it like that, do they? At the
Yeah.
beginning of things, but we'll just have to see how it all goes down. I'm excited nonetheless. I like all these new cards. I can't wait to get deck building.
Yeah, I am. I have 5 to 7 decks put aside. 4 of them are already made, and I can't wait to give them a go. And I can't wait for like 3 of them not to work because Mirror Mage won't copy itself. They are a lot of them are on a foundation of Mirror Mage copying itself when it enters.
Well, as I said, the main thing I want to test out is whether or not we get the Shell Folk theory copies things that you've pranked.
Yes,
That's going to be the main thing that I want to see if that works. But anyway, thank you. Unless is there anything else that you want to
no.
say or plug?
Go.
But yes, no, which is like, thank you all so much for listening in your ear holes. Obviously, hope that you had a good time listening to our rambles about the new set and the cards and that. And you can catch us obviously on YouTube, SoundCloud, and Spotify. So if there's a preferred place you like listening to us, then those are the options that are available to you. As well as obviously we've got our Twitches and YouTubes, both me and Janky, so I'm sure the links will be somewhere for you to be able to get to if you want to check them out, because we're both going to be diving in on the new cards, as well as our Twitters, because we both post random like clips of what we do, like all the stupid crazy things that we do and are going to be doing with these new cards. So if that sounds like fun, why not head over there and follow as well. But yeah, I think that's all I have left to say. Unless there's anything else you need to say.
No, that's it.
Thank you and goodbye.
Goodbye.